Hi guys, welcome back to Cernys Kids. Today we are going to a virtual road trip to Virginia today.
Virginia, all right. If you don't have it,
Get your map at cernysjourneys.com.
Yep, you can also follow our blog and either follow along on our journeys or go and create your own. All right, guys, let's find Virginia on the map.
Right here.
All right, as you see, the borders are North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Maryland, the District of Columbia, or D.C., and the Atlantic Ocean. So let me tell you a little bit about Virginia. Virginia became a state, the 10th state to join the United States in 1788. The capital is Richmond. However, the biggest is Virginia Beach. It was actually named after Queen Elizabeth I, and it was that they said because she was the Virgin Queen. I have no idea Queen Elizabeth now in England what queen she is. Is she Queen the second? No, she can't be the second. She's third, fourth, I don't know. But anyways, we can move on. The cool thing about Virginia, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, is it is the birthplace to 8 U.S. presidents. So 8 of them were actually born in Virginia. George Washington was. We know who George Washington, right? First president. Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, Zachary Taylor, and Woodrow Wilson. So that's a lot. So what that means is there's a ton of history in Virginia. And there's a lot of presidents' homes that are also open to visitors that are in Virginia. Washington's home, Mount Vernon is there. Madison's home, Montpelier is there. Monroe's home, Highland. Harrison's birthplace, which is the Berkeley Plantation. And Tyler's home, Sherwood Forest Plantation. But we are going to talk about another one of those presidents. The one that I didn't mention. Who is that?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. So let's talk a little bit about Thomas Jefferson. He was our 3rd president. And not only was he a president, but he also, he was a statesman, because he did serve as governor and vice president and stuff before he was a president. But he was a diplomat. He was a philosopher. You want to know a crazy thing he was too?
Huh.
He was an architect.
What's an architect?
An architect builds buildings. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the most acclaimed thing he was known for was writing the Declaration of Independence. And we've actually talked about that, right? The Declaration of Independence?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he was the Secretary of State, the first Secretary of State for the country when he actually wrote the Declaration of Independence. And you know another thing I also found out about Thomas Jefferson? Do you know chairs? You know the swivel chairs, the ones that you can go like around in a circle?
No.
Like the one I have in the office.
Oh, that? Oh,
yeah, it's called a swivel chair.
Oh, yeah.
He actually was the inventor of a swivel chair.
What?
And he invented it while writing the Declaration of Independence. I guess it was easier for him to kind of go back and forth instead of sitting still and getting up. Funny little tidbit, right?
I like spinning in it.
I know. So, and he's also, of course, known to be one of the founding fathers of America. So when he was president, he organized the Louisiana Purchase, which actually doubled the size of the U.S. So he bought like a big piece of this. And we actually talked about that in one of our other virtual road trips. And he was the one who hired Lewis and Clark. Remember how we talked about Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea?
Yeah.
So he was the one who hired them to do that expedition and explore out west. So kind of cool how it goes full circle. So let's go back and talk about Monticello. Monticello was the home that he built. So Jamin, tell us about why do we have nickels on the table?
It's because Thomas Jefferson is on the nickel.
Yep.
And his house is on the back.
Yeah, so if you guys are ever interested in going through your parents' nickel collections, you can learn a little bit about Thomas Jefferson and the house that he built, Monticello. So the kids actually had fun going through Daddy's change jar. Shh, we shouldn't tell him, when he was at the store getting all of these nickels. He's looking at us. He doesn't know that they might be able to keep them. Anyway, so let's talk about Monticello. So Monticello actually was constructed, or construction began in 1768, so a long, long time ago. And the name of Monticello means little mountain. And so he actually inherited the land from his father when he was 26 years old. And so it was a 500-acre plantation. And so when his wife's father passed away, they actually inherited about 125-ish slaves. So remember we talked about when we went to South Carolina, we talked about plantations and slaves and stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
Thomas Jefferson actually had a plantation as well. And he did own slaves of his own to help grow and plant the crops. So this place, Monticello, actually was part of that history. And so you can actually go on to Monticello.org, and everything will be down in the description, and you can do tours of Monticello, and you can actually, they have somebody who reenacts who Thomas Jefferson is, and they have a lot of different I can't even talk, webinars, I guess, or YouTube videos on Monticello, live with Thomas Jefferson, the making of his garden, or taking a tour of the Monticello garden. So it's kind of really cool. Another cool thing about Monticello is it is a National Historic Landmark, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that's very cool. So not only did Jefferson help design and build it, because remember I said architect?
Yeah.
He actually designed and built Monticello, and he is buried there. So, and then in
He died?
Oh, he died a long time ago, girl. Like a long time ago.
Thomas Jefferson?
Thomas Jefferson, yes. So in 1923, the Thomas Jefferson Foundation actually purchased the property, and they have been owning and maintaining it since then. So kind of neat. All right, guys. Next place we're going to go to. This is a fun one. We are going to go to Busch Gardens.
What's that?
Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. It is an amusement park.
Oh.
And it is themed after European countries. So something we're fond of. Not only do we like roller coasters, but we do like Europe, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, so the cool thing is if you go to Busch Gardens, if you go to their website, it will actually allow you to go and do virtual roller coasters. So you can go on.
Wait, we could go,
Yeah, we can actually watch a video and pretend we're on a roller coaster, and we will do that after this. Two of the ones that I looked at and I highly recommend is their Griffin, I think it's called Griffin, and then their Tempesto. Those are they're the major thrillers. So always fun to ride a roller coaster. Do you guys like roller coasters?
Yeah.
What's your favorite roller coaster?
At like Six Flags.
Okay, what was that one? What was?
The last one. I cried. The Goliath.
The Goliath? Why was it so, why'd you cry? Because it's scary? Yeah?
You hold on to me the whole time.
Oh,
Actually,
I know what you're talking about. The maximum velocity, yeah.
The Goliath, I actually went by myself
Yeah.
in the Goliath.
In the front seat?
Yeah.
That's pretty ballsy, son. That's brave. You got brave there, bud.
I wanted to stay with you.
Yeah, that's probably smarter. I'd probably be right there. I don't know if I'd want to go in the front seat. Okay. We'll go on a virtual roller coaster ride once we're done here, because they are pretty fun, although a little bit nauseating for Mom.
Can we actually go there?
Yeah, we can.
Yay.
All right, so when we were in Maryland, I promised that we would circle back and do a little bit more on Washington, D.C., since Washington isn't its own state. So really, really quickly, we're going to talk about the White House. So the White House, obviously, as most people know, it is the home to every U.S. president except George Washington. And the address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and everybody tends to know that once they get to a certain age. So in June of 1791, that land was purchased on Pennsylvania Avenue, and James Hoban was the architect who was hired to build the White House. And the building began in October of 1792.
That's
Wow.
a long
I know, it's very long. And so John Adams was living in the house, and he originally
Did he die?
had it yellow. The house wasn't yellow. And then in the War of 1812, it caught fire, and so they had to rebuild. And so James Madison rebuilt it and repainted it white. And then in 1902, Theodore Roosevelt officially nicknamed the White House the White House. So that's when it became
Oh,
the
it's
White
the White
House.
House.
Yep, because it's white. So you can go online, and I'll have information in the description to go and do virtual tours of the White House, which is really,
White
really
House.
cool. Another notable mention, which is pretty awesome, the Smithsonian Museums. Air and Space Museum, Museum of Natural History, Museum of American History, American Art, all of that. They have tons of things that you can do virtually, so definitely would recommend that as well. All right, so that is it with Virginia and Washington, D.C. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Like and
Subscribe.
subscribe.
Thumbs up. Bye.
Bye.